pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you haven't signed the back of the register, please do so. Roll call.
Ms. Dong?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Ms. Hernandez?
Present.
Ms. Nunez?
Present.
Ms. Quintero?
Present. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as submitted?
I move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
I second the motion.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Nunez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. Okay. Governing board comments at this time. Ms. Dawn, do you have any?
Just once again, congratulations to everybody at the beginning of the school year. Driving around, looking at everything and talking to people. It's been a great opening. Everybody seems to be really excited about being back in person. And the staff is excited that they don't have to be in front of a computer all day, looking at their students in little squares. And of course, the students are extremely happy that they're able to come and be in the classrooms and be with their fellow classmates. I see a lot of good things happening, and I'm really happy for this school year and excited that we're all back together. And I want to thank all of you that worked so hard to make sure that we had a smooth opening. Every single person that's in here had a part in doing that, and I want to express my gratitude for all that you did to make sure that our students came back safe and are doing what they need to be doing to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor.
I just want to kind of reiterate what Ms. Dong said. Congratulations on the first week back. It was very successful. I stopped by a few schools, and it seemed like the majority of everyone was feeling very confident and very good about it. So if they're good with it, I'm good with it. So I went by Apollo too. I hadn't really gone by Apollo in a really long time. I went to Apollo, and gosh, it's so different there now. The kids are so respectful, which is really awesome, really awesome. So I was just so surprised and so happily pleased to see the changes that are happening in Apollo Middle School. And along with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hernandez, do you have any comments?
Yes, I just want to also reiterate what everyone else is saying. Welcome back to everyone. We're so excited to have you and appreciate everyone who was able to put together a plan to have everyone as safe as possible on their return, and appreciate everyone's cooperation as well while we figure out the kinks of coming back safely. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Ms. Nunez, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of what everyone else kind of said and just say thank you so much for everything you guys have done. We survived our first week, so I know that's a big task. And as Matthew, I also got to visit Apollo, and Miss Leah Lopez Gomez showed me around, and it was very nice seeing how well everyone was being safe and taking care of themselves and others, and doing the best they could to just really stay safe and keep others safe. So that was really, really promising. I really liked that a lot. And just welcome back, everybody, and thank you so much for continuing to take care of our kids and putting them first.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ditto. And I'm so excited. I went to STAR, and that was super fun. Also, I want to thank News 4 for collecting donations for our students as well. So I think they're still doing that until 7 o'clock at Sunnyside High School. So thank you for that. And thank you for putting all that together. So thank you. And yay, we're off and running. So thank you all. We have superintendent's report.
Yes, Ms. Quintero, members of the governing board, members of the audience. Just once again, also welcome everyone back. Start with this couple of announcements. We really have to celebrate our Arizona Industry Credential Incentive Program. So this year, the district earned $61,000 for the class of 2020 graduates who obtained credentials across a variety of high-demand industries. This award to the Arizona Industry Credentials Incentive Program will help support current and future CTE students in earning credentials by providing resources that would help to offset certification costs, right, supplies, and professional development costs. This year's awards demonstrates an increase from prior year where we were awarded $43,000. So this is a notable accomplishment despite the fact that students did not have the last 9 weeks of school due to the pandemic, right, to kind of do. This was from the 2020, so it's quite an accomplishment from that 2020 graduation class, so congratulations to them. We also have, again, our Back to School Drive, which you mentioned, thanks to our media partners at KVOA Channel 4, spending the day with us at Sunnyside High School for the 4th annual Back to School Supply Drive. We are so grateful for the students, parents, and community who came out to drop off donations today. Also, a special thank you for our student groups who came out to show their spirit on TV, including our exceptional education students, Sunnyside High School Cheer, Los Diablitos Azules Folclórico, and Student Council. So thank you for coming out. There's still time, so if you have supplies you want to send out, please do so before 7. Thank you.
Thank you. Recognitions. Yay, we have some. Let's all go down and meet our kids. We're going to recognize our CTE National Competition for Education Professionals. The teachers, Ms. Elizabeth Skeggs is the teacher for these wonderful students. Cheyenne Velarde. Alexia Apodaca. Angelica Gonzalez Hernandez. Giuliani. Did I say that right? Angelica Martinez Montaño. Did I? Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, Giuliani Gonzalez Hernandez. The Sunnyside Unified School District Governing Board is proud to celebrate your achievement in advancing to the CTE National Competition for Educational Professionals. Congratulations on an outstanding job representing our district. Thank you.
So these are my education profession students. It's our newest CTE program at Desert View. And they are also part of Educators Rising, which is our student organization. And so in a remote environment, they competed at a state level. Angelica and Giuliani won first place in the state for they won for a competition called Ethical Dilemma, where they had to debate. They had to come up with a solution for a problem in the classroom. The problem was a student wanted to advocate for more diverse literature in the classroom, and in the scenario, not in real life, but in the scenario, they were told no by the principal because they didn't want to deal with the parents. And so they had to come up with what would they do in that situation. So they won first place in the state. And Alexia advanced for children's picture book. She wrote a picture book about using Braille and sign language. So that's Alexia. And she got, I think, 4th place in the state for that. And then Cheyenne did a creative lecture. She had to give a lecture live to the judges on the impacts of remote learning. So she had some experience on that. And then in nationals, the 2 Ethical Dilemma girls down there, they won 3rd place in the nation. So. Alexia placed top 10 for picture book in the nation. And Cheyenne was in creative lecture. She did amazing. There were a lot of entries, so but she did amazing. I got to watch her compete, so she did a great job. I'm just really proud of them, and I believe that they are proof that even in a remote, challenging environment, you can do anything if you have the right people. And I'm just really proud of them.
So we definitely have to thank Ms. Skaggs for taking the kind of that risk, right, as a teacher who had been in our librarian for us, who kind of stepped into this role. New program. These are future educators, right? That's the whole purpose of the program, and to really just build from the ground up this program and what you've already accomplished in a short time with just the national recognition. I mean, that's a big deal, and so we owe it to Ms. Skaggs. Thank you so much for everything you do every day. I mean, it goes without saying, but you deserve the recognition. Ladies, like I told you before, we're going on record that you have a job here once you're complete with that. So we want you to come back and do the wonderful work that our teachers do every day, which you know is both challenging and rewarding at the same time. And you've proven that you represent Sunnyside in the highest level and the highest ways, and will give back in, I think, ways that will reward you for the future to come. So thank you again for making us look good and looking us great too, okay?
I'm so sorry, that's loud. Well, thank you guys for having us here. It's an honor really to be here. We tried really hard to earn the the awards that we did, and we worked really hard, and it paid off, and we had an amazing teacher helping us throughout the way. Even though remote learning was really hard, and having technical issues throughout the whole year, but we survived, we did it, and thank you guys so much.
Anybody else?
Yeah, and besides just the competitors and my classmates, I really want to thank the Sunnyside School Board and everyone who worked so hard to make this past year the hardest year ever in high school, I can safely say, the easiest it could. Giuliani and I, this was our first year in Educators Rising. We were super nervous, and we pulled through. And it's nice to know that everything we did wasn't in vain, and thank you.
Awesome job. We're so proud of you. Oh, you're for a picture? Come on. Yeah. Okay.
Parents, if you want to come up and do a picture.
Oh, yeah, the parents should come up too. Can we give a round of applause to their parents?
It's okay, it's not 15 minutes.
Only 15 minutes, okay.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, get that mom in the picture. Get Cheyenne's mom in the picture. We got mom. We got mom. My dad. And dad. My dad.
All-star, high program.
We'll call to the audience. So in consideration and discussion of comments and concerns from the public at this time. Those wishing to address the governing board or items on or not on tonight's agenda may do so at this time. Speakers are requested to hold their comments to 3 minutes. In accordance with the Arizona Open Meeting Law, board members may not respond, comment, or ask questions of speakers. Is Ana Karina Angula Gaxiola here?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, governing meeting members of the podium and public in general. My name is Ana Karina Angulo Gagiola. I am one of the moms for children in the Sunnyside School District, and I came tonight to ask you to please consider about masking, making a mandatory masking on the school. This is based on the information from the Mayor Regina Romero, and I'm going to read it about what she published today. Today, the CDC elevated Pima County's COVID-19 community transmission status from substantial to high. Over the last 14 days, Arizona has seen an 81% increase in cases, with Pima County schools reporting 212 cases between July 20 and August 5th, according to the Pima County Health Department. I strongly urge anyone who is in an indoor public settings, including our schools, to wear a mask, especially when around children under the age of 12 who are not eligible to get the vaccine. The single greatest way to beat this virus and protect children who are not eligible to get the vaccine is to get vaccinated and wear a mask indoors. This is what she has posted, and I understand that it's the responsibility of all the community and about the parents to get our kids protected. But you have the power of doing it in the schools, but making it mandatory. There are a lot of kids that they are not eligible for the vaccines. Or if we have taken this into consideration, we might be in a position to do something to protect the kids. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I second the motion.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez,
Aye.
Ms. Nunez,
Aye.
Ms. Quintero.
Aye. Under functions. The instructional time model for 2021-2022 has been 2 public hearings already, so we need a motion. Mr. Holmes, did you want to say?
If there's any questions on it, I'll answer any questions, but the purpose of the public hearings were for that. Again, just to remind the governing board, there are 2 models that are being proposed. One that allows us to move to remote, and if we ever have to have a plan B setting for that and continue to mark instructional time. The other is to have a 7th period day in our eligible, so we can have students take not only credit advancement, credit recovery, and take advantage of CTE programs outside the school day and still receive instructional time for that as well. So that is under new statute allows us that flexibility, and that's what we're asking for approval today.
Ms. Quintero?
Ms. Dong.
I'd like to move that we approve and submit the SUSD 2021-2022 ITM as presented as soon as ADE provides the required submission template.
Second the motion.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez, Ms. Hernandez,
Aye.
Ms. Nunez,
Aye.
Ms. Quintero.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Opening school reports. Mr. Holmes?
Yes, I'm going to have the team kind of come up. There's different slides that each of the directors have oversight of, and each of some of our district leadership team also has oversight on. So we'll start with the first slide. I'll get trying to find the
Oh, here it is.
clicker. There it is.
I know we have it. All right, good evening, President Quintero, Governing Board members, Superintendent Holmes. Opening a school report. I cannot tell you how happy I am to stand in front of you with this opening of schools report. So we are going to just do some quick hits through a lot of our departments, and then at the end answer any questions, comments, any other pieces that you have curiosities about from this past week. So we're going to start with logistics and operations. So I believe Ryan Powell, there he is behind me. He's going to take the first turn with school safety.
Madam President of the school board and Superintendent Holmes. Yeah, great start off. We had we were able to get a lot of things accomplished to be prepared for this day, including getting our disciplinary metrics all put together. We had a great training with all the AIs and ABSs over at Challenger Middle School, which also included our security teams, and we had law enforcement there participating too in that training. We also had a couple of pre-services with all my monitors. We gave a lot of good training on boundaries, professionalism, how to de-escalate things. Also was able to distribute Narcon to all of our monitors, and a lot of our AIs, and a lot of our ABSs who have that now available and are trained to use it. So I'm really confident that we're probably within 3 to 4 minutes away of anywhere in our district that we can distribute that. As far as we've also filled out a security handbook I've developed. This security handbook has all links, and it's a great resource for all of our administrators to make their job easier. So all of our fire drill reports, our home visit reports, our lockdown reports, our incident reports, everything is on one handbook, and they can just bookmark that handbook, and they have a huge, great security and safety resource for them. Other than that, the first few days of school have been really, knock on wood, uneventful. We've had a few calls of just regular things, freshman fights, things like that, things that we normally have. The only other thing is traffic has been more than normal. I think that's just to tell you the truth, I think more parents are driving kids to school right now. And our buses are not, and you'll have to look at the transportation report, but that's my thing. But I've been keeping principals calm and tell them, I want you to time your pickups and time your drop-offs every day. And if it's improving, we're good. If it might take, in the past it takes 3 days to develop a routine. Maybe this year it's going to take a week. So that's where about it. I think that's it. That's about all I have for the report. Everything's been going really smooth. The guys, and I always brag that I think my department has the highest morale. We're the busiest, and we keep busy. So, is there any questions for school safety or?
Ms. Dunn?
Yes, just really quick. First, thank you for everything and all the training that you've been doing and getting everybody ready for the first days, and for it to be as smooth as it is only because you guys are all prepared and ready and doing things the right way. Now, about a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago, time flies during COVID, we were all shown a really great presentation of the new rubric and matrix and how we're going to be doing some things. Have you had an opportunity to bring your staff together to go over that and the differences that will be occurring with that?
Yeah, we had a great 2-hour, I think it was 2, maybe 3-hour training. It was held at Challenger Middle School. Every school was represented there with their academic individualists, their assistant principals, and their ABSs from all levels. We had a lot of this. My security team was there. The Pima County Sheriff's Department was there, and we took a good 2 hours going over that. The training was fantastic. It involved tabletop scenarios. We had it was kind of like we'd give them a scenario where they'd have to work through the book and find the right things, and we talked about the interventions, and we talked about all the the whole new discipline mindset. So yeah, it was a very intense meeting. We probably could have used more time, and it's definitely going to be something that we're going to have to go back again and probably have, and finish up and continue. It's gonna be a continued process to push that through, so.
No, I was just, President Quintero, members of the board, Mr. Holmes. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, we definitely got the right audience in the room in terms of our AIs, our ABSSs, those individuals that are going to be using our Safe and Orderly Handbook. So it was a very meaningful, professional development session. And as Mr. Powell mentioned, they did scavenger hunts, right, using the book, the new book. They appreciated that it's more user-friendly. It's a little bit more direct, and when you involve law enforcement, when you don't involve law enforcement, as Mr. Powell mentioned, it was huge for law enforcement to be there as well.
Yes.
And we even had our lead security monitors there, and the expectation is that they take that to their campuses and present it as well. Now that's session one, right? So we just introduced it to them. Again, gave them scenarios. They had and you have different answers. You had different tables for different situations. And so there's definitely be some follow-up because there's a lot to cover. But the expectation is that they're sharing this at their sites, and that it's a live document. As we mentioned, and when we presented here at the board and mentioned to them, is that we'll make adjustments as needed. But it was very well received, and we had some great comments, great feedback afterwards saying, oh, this session was meaningful. We need to have more sessions like this where we can discuss, because one of the big pieces is that they're not alone doing it, and there's a lot of resources on campus, and sometimes in that position and with that responsibility, you feel alone, right, in terms of dealing with sensitive issues. And so, we said, look, there's a room of over 30 people here, and we're all resources to one another. So it was, we felt it was super productive, and we're excited to move forward with future PD sessions with that group as well.
Great, thank you. It sounds like it was a great training and beginning of I think a great year, and some, I know that you'll have to do some more because it's a lot to take in just one training. But it sounds like you guys are going in the right direction. And I'm really, really happy to hear that the outside law enforcement was involved in understanding, what it is that we're trying to do here and the culture we're trying to build here at Sunnyside. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the neat thing is we've seen the effects of it already when there's been situations where law enforcement's called. They're taking the training into consideration, and that's exactly what we want to happen. So, thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
Oh, I
Thank
do
you.
have one comment.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes.
I just wanted
Nunez.
to say that I think the training on Narcan is really so important, and I think you guys are really pioneering that. I haven't really heard a lot of other people doing that yet, and I think that is so important with the drug issue we're having right now, with especially this age of kids and fentanyl.
I try my best to kind of keep up on trends. I know that the fentanyl is an issue in Phoenix and Yuma. It's hit. It hasn't come to Tucson yet, but I wanted to be ahead. I hope we never ever have to use it. That would be the ideal goal, but at least it's available.
Yes, I appreciate that. So thank you. That's a big deal.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I have a question.
Ms. Hernandez?
I'm here.
Sorry. I see you.
I haven't left. I'm here. I just have a quick question. I appreciate the presentation, by the way. Can you remind me where we're at with vetting police officers, SROs on our campuses?
Yes, I had the training at the end of the year, right at the end of the year, with all law enforcement that was going to be vetted and put into our pool this year. All those officers that are working today attended that training last time, so they're all there. They had received the bias training and the school campus educational training and stuff that you asked for. I only had one new substitute. It's a female officer, Monica Nance. She works in our area. I've met with her on the side. She's actually worked with us 2 days already. She's an ex-drill instructor from the Army. She works out here in San Diego District, and she is also a JTED teacher on Saturdays. So she's really involved with kids, and and she was highly recommended by her fellow officers. So that was the only change in our roster or pool that we used from last year. Does that answer?
Gotcha. So all officers on our campuses, whether they're contracted outside or SROs, they've all been vetted to make sure their backgrounds don't have a pattern of aggression towards minors?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so we're good? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Next one's a buy one, get one. We'll have Mr. Smith. He's going to come up and give you an update both on transportation and facilities.
Good evening, Board President, Ms. Quintero. Hope I said that
You're
right.
close, you're good.
I'm working on it. Board members and Superintendent Holmes. My name is Ralph Smith. I'm the Transportation and Operations Director. I just want to give you an update on how our day went the very first day. I am proud to say that my Transportation Department did really well. The first thing I'd really like to say is we didn't lose no kids.
That's always good.
Currently we have 12 open routes which were managed to get by on the first day with a lot of incoming calls from parents, but with no major issues. Buses were double routes with running 10 to 15 minutes late, but managed to get school on time. After school dismissal, we had a numerous amount of calls, but students got home safe and no missing students. Schools most affected were the middle school, which happened to be Sierra, and also I'd like to thank all the parents in school for their patience and support. Our router is working hard on routing all the special needs students. She had issues with EduLog and had to make some calls to correct it. For that reason, and because schools send the request for transportation late, she is running a little behind schedule, but she is getting on top of it by working extra hours to be able to accommodate. We have, and this is the good news, we have 4 new drivers on the road, 3 on the classroom training. Our trainers are currently driving a route and have only 2 hours a day to train. For this reason, we're having to work on Saturdays to help train our new bus drivers. Let's see. We continue to see improvement in the applicants for bus drivers. We will be interviewing 3 more bus drivers applicants this week. So currently right now, if we do get the 3 applicants and they are all qualified, we're going to look at only 7 positions left, open routes, which is really good considering other school districts may have 60 or 70 openings. My maintenance department, we had been working on getting the grounds ready for school previously, and then the storms came in, and which put us behind. We had to remove trees and remove water ponds in certain school areas. The maintenance staff had been working, spending a lot of time repairing roofs, roof leaks, and repairs inside the building. Currently, we have 2 open positions in the maintenance and in the grounds, and we have 8 ground positions open right now total. But the good news is, I want to also share this, that recently we just hired a athletic grounds lead technician. He has all the athletic experience behind him, and we stole him from, I'm using that word stole, from the University of Arizona. He's been there for 20 years.
Wow.
So that's a very good asset for me. And like Ryan had said, I got the best group. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Ms. Dong?
I just want to thank you as far as the transportation. It's been very smooth. We haven't lost any children, which is, a great plus for the beginning of the school year. Kids have a tendency to get on the wrong bus or get off at the wrong place, and so it's been really good. I think everybody's been keeping a real good eye on everything, and I've been, driving around and seeing all the bus drivers. They're doing an excellent job in making sure they're keeping the kids safe as far as the, going and stopping the right places. Nobody's getting in front of anybody, because sometimes you see a little bit of that, but not this year. I've been seeing that everything's going really, really well. They have, I haven't seen the buses packed like I've had in the past, but there's still, quite a few students inside of these buses, and the bus drivers are all wearing their masks, and I haven't seen a single bus driver not. So I really appreciate that, because they're the first people in contact with the students when they pick them up. And so I think you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. I'll pass it along.
And I understand this whole thing about the waters coming in and all the weeds coming up. Happens in all of our homes, I think. We're all excited and happy about the water, and then we look out the backyard and go, oh yeah, I remember what that happens now with water. We get weeds. So I know there's a lot of work to be done there, because it's not just that you have to take care of, but like the roof leaks and stuff like that. So I know you have a lot of work ahead of you, and thank you for making sure that it all gets organized.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Ms. Hernandez, have any?
Yeah, I just had a question. I just first also wanted to start off by saying I appreciate the work that you've done in this department. A lot of the times for our students in these departments, that's their first interaction with our district. So it's really important, and I appreciate it. Just out of curiosity, do we know around how many, if we had more students show up for bus routes than normal, or were they pretty empty? Do you have an idea? I'm just curious. It doesn't have to be numbers. I'm just curious if you've had it, if anyone came back to you, or I don't know if we count students at all when they show up. Just trying to get an idea of what it looks like, because obviously I'm not on the street watching buses, so I can't be there. I'm just curious if you know that.
Actually, we have our bus student capacities have increased, have gone up on a daily basis ever since we've opened up school. We've had a little bit more and more students coming on board. I don't know what the reasoning is, but some reason.
Can you get ridership numbers for us?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Do you want that in the Friday report?
Yeah.
Ms. Hernandez? Do you want that as a Friday?
Sorry,
Do you want
I
that
can't really hear, but so you're saying that
Do you want
the
to?
number of students using buses increased a bit?
Yes.
Okay, and my question is surrounding safety. Obviously, we're in a pandemic still, and I just want to make sure that, do we need to add more buses or somehow add more rides if the buses are too full? So that's what I was thinking.
So what we've done is, if we have what they call an overload on our buses, we'll actually bring in another bus driver from another route after they're done and pick up the remainder of the students, just to let you know. So we're not trying to overload our buses, if that makes sense.
But we haven't run into that situation yet.
Yes, we have. We've actually had, I hate to use Sierra as my example, but yes, Sierra got an overload on buses in 2 days in a row, and we gone ahead and sent an extra bus in to accommodate for the remainder of the kids, so we didn't overload the bus totally.
Gotcha. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't really hear, or else I would have caught that, but thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so can we have that in the Friday report, the numbers,
Yes. Yes.
the ridership? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will round out logistics and operations with Mr. Oakley and food service.
Good evening, President Quintero, members of the board, Superintendent Holmes. So food service, I believe, had a very smooth and successful start to the school year. The first challenge we had, as I'm sure is going on in a lot of departments, is we had to hire a lot of folks, way more than normal. Since March of 2019, we had about half of our department that hadn't been back to work until we just started up operating in remote and hybrid. So 16 months is a long time to keep somebody on the line. I would say most of the time in the summer, I hire 8 to 10 people. We hired 32 this time. So a lot of new training and stuff to start off the school year, but we were able to get staff back up. A lot of people having challenges getting staff, so that was a little nerve-wracking, but we got there. The service model we've gone with is just kind of trying to make it normal for the kids with more choices. Throughout the pandemic, it was one choice all the time, kind of like we do in summer school. So coming back to school, tried to give them choice back and find that balance to where it feels like a normal day. But unfortunately, some things were still held back that were maybe not COVID friendly, still in the pandemic. Self-serve things like the salad bars that the kids really enjoy just can't really
don't feel comfortable putting them out there yet. So there are some things, if you hear, that aren't really being offered, it's for those reasons, but it is definitely upgraded from what we were doing during the pandemic. The main thing being they have all their choices back every day. Setting the lines up in a way that, you know, we don't, the food service lines is always a question of the congregating and, you know, staying, the social distancing part. I think all the lines are flowing really well. We're trying to have trays up as kids come through, so whenever possible, it's more of a walking line than a standing line to keep everybody moving. Working with the principals to get everybody participating, especially at the elementary levels, because again, all the meals are free. That was extended throughout this whole year, which is great news. The only hang up with that is getting all the free and reduced applications in, which the district needs for funding, and there's not a lot of incentive there. So also working with principals on that. We'll be at 1 week into the school year tomorrow, and by the end of the day tomorrow, we will have hit 2,000 that we've processed since the start of the year. So we are getting those in, and when we run out, we'll reach back out for assistance getting those in, so we can hit that target as well. That's about all I had.
Thank
Any
you so much.
questions?
Any, Mr. Taylor?
Typically, for example, prior to the pandemic, how many free and reduced lunch applications do we process?
Probably about 6,000 or 7,000.
Okay,
Yeah, somewhere in there.
thank you so much.
Mr. Hernandez, have any questions? No? Ms. Dunn?
Just thank you for keeping our kids fed throughout the whole summer, throughout the COVID time. I know it was difficult, you had less staff, and yet we still had a lot of need out there in the community, and you did a phenomenal job throughout the COVID pandemic when we were closing schools down and doing everything remote, and also during the summer. And so I just want to thank you for everything that you did.
Thank you for that.
Yes, we appreciate everything you did for us. Thank you, and
Okay.
do, and do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
have a question.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes, just out of curiosity, can you remind me, are we still giving breakfast to our students?
Yes, we are. Breakfast is free to everyone.
Okay, do we know if for this first week, if we had a lot more students than usual show up? Do you have an idea?
You mean the meal count participation?
For breakfast?
It's down a little bit. It kind of mirrors our enrollment, but I'm working with the principals to try and make sure everyone's participating. So we don't see the decline, even though there's an enrollment decline.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Maybe Shane will do it for me.
There you go.
All right, so Mr. Baca is going to start us off with enrollment.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, President Quintero, members of the board. I know this is difficult to see. Shane, could you zoom that in, just Control Plus real quick? This is a very, I wouldn't call it premature, but it's an immature analysis of our enrollment. What I can briefly summarize is that if you see next to each school there, we have a year delta, it's a year change from last year to this year. And you can see they're all in red. So this isn't something that was unexpected or unanticipated, but it is something of significance, and it is sobering in terms of how what the cumulative number of students that we have see less this year than last year. Now, if you zoom back out, Shane, just a little bit, so you can kind of see that across the board, they're all red, they're all down. We have some schools that are down more than others. But when I say immature, we typically, this analysis is done over the course of the first 15 days of school, because it takes until that 15th day, until all the catch-up work is done, all the late arrivals, all the paperwork, all the data entry is complete, and we can have an accurate count of what's truly in the system. The total number, the far right column, it's hard to read there, but it's an NS column. That stands for no-show. That if you look down those columns, you see there's a sizable number for every school. And what that means is those are the students who were registered, who rolled over, and yet they haven't appeared yet. So these are students who we're taking out of the count and trying to get a more accurate estimate of what our true number of students are. We're taking other measures. We take our schools complete a daily head count. They do it every other day. So they just did one yesterday. And these numbers are slowly coming together. The head count versus what our registrations minus no-show students becomes, and those numbers will eventually come together by the 15th day. And then in that 15th day, we can give the governing board, our administration, an estimate about what we anticipate in terms of true enrollment change and what funding impact that's going to have. As you can see across the board, they're all red except for a slight increase at Star, a slight increase at Sunnyside, and a sizable increase at SOSA, our AOI program. The SOSA program, there's approximately over 200 students right now registered. There's about 100 9-12 high school levels student registrations and about 140 or so elementary K-8 registrations. Those 200 or so individuals, students, are definitely part of the decline that we see across the schools are students who elected to go to SOSA. So that's about a 200 student difference. But if you see the bottom total of our no-shows, there's 1,200 students. So that 1,200 students does represent something that we had already anticipated was going to be approximate to what we estimated. We had preliminarily estimated an ADM of about between 13.5 to 13.7. And these numbers right now are coming in at 13.5. I'm hesitant to make any clear, definitive conclusions about what it's going to end up until we get closer to that 15th day. When we get closer to that 15th day, then we can say, all right, it's really going to come in at maybe 13.5, maybe come in a little bit lower, maybe come a little bit higher. But it is coming into that at that angle, and where this is the difference is pre-COVID we had an annual decrease of about 2.5% annually for several years. Last year that decrease increased to about 4.6%. So that additional 2% decrease is something we can safely attribute to COVID, the COVID impact. Right now, this number does represent, and yet that's consistent with last year's decrease of 4.5% again. So it's not something we were hoping that we would see some positive signs of like a bubble of our kinder population. Our kinder population is 955 right now, based off of yesterday's counts. That number is historically the lowest it's been in at least 10 years. But that again is consistent with what we've seen over the year. That's our signal for what's going to happen continuing in the future. So with that lower population, as you can understand, next year's first grade population will be another low bubble, second, third, all the way through the system. So we're going to continue to see declines based off of this. And these factors, what we can conclude, are primarily attributed to the demographic change that is happening in our community and beyond our community in Pima County in the state of Arizona. I mean, that's for sure. Birth rates are lower. Just other demographic situations are contributing to this decline. But of course, that extra 2% is something that we can attribute to COVID, I suspect. So I know this is it's sobering. It's what Mr. Oakley was referring to, how his decrease in breakfast service is mirrored to our decrease in enrollment. All I can say is that we're watching this closely. Our schools are very actively trying to contact the families that are no-shows and kind of minimizing any of this loss as much as possible. But we also recognize that this is the reality of the continued decline and the COVID impact on top of that. I will shift gears from enrollment to just a quick update on sort of the IT side of the house. I feel very positive that we've gotten off to a great start of the school year. Deployments in terms of laptops, we have enough devices, new devices for our students. We ordered a new batch over the summer. They're faster, they're stronger than they were last year. So I feel confident that our students have better equipment available to them. Our teacher devices have not yet arrived, but we are eagerly awaiting that arrival, and all of our teachers and staff will also get a brand new device shortly thereafter. And we're doing a lot of things to make sure that that those resources are readily available. Our IT department and our IT technicians understand the importance of the type of service, especially under these circumstances. And one other factor, we also have, with the governing board's approval, we're able to hire all of our librarians back, so we're able to complete all librarians. Now every school has an individual librarian. Our final librarian will start in 2 weeks, just due to the delay in the movement there, but that's another positive step in terms of the structure of our schools and all of our systems. So, quick overview, but I certainly want to answer any questions you may have about any of those aspects of our update today.
Mr. Taylor?
What are we, you said it was, our decrease was, one of the contributing factors was, the demographic change, and, you can see that a lot here in this community. What are we doing, on the other hand, what are we doing to combat it? I mean, what are some of the strategies that we're using to increase our enrollment, or work towards that?
Well, from a practical standpoint, on a day-to-day basis, it's improving our visibility on this type of data, so really working with our front office staff to, like we did multiple sessions over the summer and in the school year with our front office staff, letting them know how they can target those families that are expected to return, and target them with what we call Bright Arrow. That's our automated phone dialing system and emailing system. And say we instructed them on ways to target those families who haven't yet started their registration, and really call them. And so that's minimizing and mitigating it, and hopefully it produced some results. We're continuing to highlight the importance of the type of service mentality that we expect to our community, so that people, the reasons they're, for whatever reasons we see a decrease, it's not due to poor service and lack of responsiveness from our front office staff, from our IT staff, from anyone involved. And that's an important concept that we reiterate every year when we talk. It's about customer service. It's simple as that, is quality customer service, so that doesn't contribute in any way to loss. Beyond that, there's a lot of guessing, and we do know that this is not something that's unique to Sunnyside. It's something that's happening across the community, but it's difficult to pin it on, say, any large exodus to charter schools. That just simply does not play out in the numbers. Now, this 1,200 number of students, it's too soon to be able to say if there any specific place where those went. We simply don't know until we can kind of continue to, those 15 days pass, and we can kind of start to gather and turn over every rock that our schools are working on. And that's, Ms. Gallegos just emailed every school this morning with a list of those students, specifically saying, get us an update on where this is at. So we know that this is being a heavy push.
Mm-hmm.
So those are a few of the things that we're doing to minimize as the loss as you referred to. You want to speak to?
Good evening. So one of the things that we've implemented this year, we started the campaign, which actually ends this week. We invested some advertising dollars across all 3 TV stations. It was a 5-week campaign.
I've seen them.
Oh, good.
I've seen them too. I like
Yeah.
them. They're really nice.
Which included our students. It was a really fun project. But yeah, it includes advertising schedules across all 3 TV stations. We strategically picked morning and evening news parts just because we know those have higher visibility. And then specifically with Channel 9, we did a digital aspect to our advertising, which includes also it's a broad spectrum of digital advertising pieces that we've included. So for example, I don't know if you're familiar with like geo-targeting or geo-fencing, 2 digital tactics that can be used to target zip codes, not just our zip code, but neighboring zip codes. And it targets people's mobile, like if they visit our website or our social media pages, it leaves a cookie in their phone, and it tracks them digitally, and it continues to serve them ads for 30 days. Like, I'm sure you've Googled like something on Amazon, and then mysteriously you get like these pop-up ads for what you searched. That's kind of that's one of the ways digital advertising will work. So not only did we do the paid advertising, but we've done a lot of work on our social media pages on all 3, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and trying to think of what else. We also had a recruitment campaign that I think just helped to reinforce, the district's branding and just kind of getting our name out there, which ran at the same time, but really just focusing on enrollment. I think the last 5 weeks we've done a lot of that with paid advertising. Arizona Bilingual, one of our big print partners, We have done a lot of work with them. They've been really gracious. Our kids graced the cover of the August Back to School edition. We have ads that run in the print magazine. They've been running this entire calendar year. We participated in their big Back to School fair. That about 3,000 backpacks that they give away, so lots of foot traffic, lots of visibility at that event too. So we've definitely tried to be out there at community events as events in the community have started to open up to the public.
Okay. When will we kind of be able to gauge if it's been working?
So I get a report from, specifically for the digital advertising, I get a report from the sales rep when the campaign is over, so that'll happen at the end of this week.
Okay.
And the campaign tracks like clicks on the website or engagements on social media whenever the ads pop up.
Okay.
and things
Well,
like
not necessarily, you know, like the impression side of it. I just mean more like if it's working to boost our enrollment. Is that something we've been able to measure in the past?
I think with advertising specifically, the ROI is not going to necessarily translate into numbers and enrollments. You know, I think it helps increase the visibility of the district, just kind of put us out there because all other school districts are advertising as well. I just don't know that we would see a direct reflection in our numbers right now with the advertising campaigns.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Hernandez, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Sorry, not question, actually, just two comments. One, I just want to make a note that the budget that we give Maricel is pretty low, so we can't expect, I mean, that's just the reality, right? We can't, unless we're investing a ton of money on advertising. I'm not an advertising expert, but I know that you need to spend a lot of money to be able to get conversions. So I just wanted to point that out. And then also in regards to enrollment, we've had this conversation before, but with the presentation from you regarding our aging population was already an issue. And to add to that, during this pandemic, the housing crisis has only increased and affordability. So I just wanted to point that out, that also impacts our district greatly. So anyways, but thank you both for your presentation and your work.
Thank you.
Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, I just want to add a comment specifically because Ms. Hernandez picked up on this. So this past summer, as administrators met for the summer admin training, there was a report that was produced, a national report. And it was a staggering national report because it pretty much showed that public schools or just general populations of students are declining significantly. Right, and there's multiple factors. Some are economic factors. Others are people are just waiting later to have children. Traditional larger family structures are following more of a smaller family environment. I think that's just new generation of parents, right? So you're not seeing people having 7 children, right? I mean, it's starting to mirror even across non-traditional types of demographics around lower birth rates, lower child. And I share that because it's important as we continue to want to recapture students, which is a part of it. A lot of our advertising is also really just what do we offer, what do we do well, right? Knowing full well there now is really a finite and declining pool of customers out there, right? And so that's I'll try to share some of that with the governing board at some point kind of down the road because we had 2 demographic studies that showed our community in general. But when we saw it across communities, it was actually pretty impactful because we're not alone in this phenomenon that's happening nationally. So just want to bring it up. It's relevant to the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Mergman is going to talk a little bit about staffing vacancies.
Good evening, President Quintero, members of the board, Superintendent Holmes, and the audience. As Mr. Holmes just shared with you, with enrollment and students, we're also looking at a decline of teachers, and we've done a lot of creative, put in a lot of creative pieces to help, and Pathways being one of them, a program that we brought to you last year. looking at interim certificates of individuals who have bachelor's degree come to sub for us, and then we say, how about picking up a certification? You know, and they go, can I do that? Absolutely. And so working with those individuals, especially if they are a hard to fill area, math, science, and then also working closely with the U of A South GCU and another college within the state. We also, being that the pandemic hit last year, you know, things changed, and our teaching staff looked different, and our numbers dropped in our vacancies. But this year we're back, and because we're back, we're looking at a spike in our vacancies. And so let me share with you what we've done between July 1st, when people said, I'm going to retire, and finding and replacing vacancies. And I have to share, my staff has worked really hard, you know, over the last I want to say 3 or 4 months to ensure that we're moving them and systematically and getting them out there into the classrooms as fast as we can. Currently, we have 23 vacancies across the board between elementary, middle school, and high school. There are 9 professional non-teaching. I don't count them right now because of the fact that those are individuals who are on a different contract, and you're looking at psychologists, speech language therapists. Do we need them? Absolutely. But I work very closely with Dr. Williams and vendors to bring those in to ensure we have enough of them to ensure services across the board for SPED. And so we're looking at a total of 32. Let's see if this works. Yes. Okay. And this is how it's broken down by grade levels. Our elementary currently has 14. There are 2 in middle school and 7 in high school. And I'm going to set aside those 9 districts. We've really focused on who's in front of those children. And when you look at the 14, the 2, and the 7, I'm going to go back to the front page that I just covered with you, the first slide, and look at those 23 total. Of those 23 total, I have 10 currently long-term subs who fill 10 of those 23. And then those remaining 14, Ms. Emsley and I were just commenting this afternoon that our vacancies shift like every 10 minutes for us, because I'll pull up vacancies, hey, why do we have a music? You know, and going. So it's constantly this shifting and recommending. Some of our openings on the elementary are music and art that we have to fill. You know, we went full-time for music, full-time for art, and full-time for librarians. We were so fortunate. I worked with Mr. Baca on the librarians, and we found librarians, and I think quality individuals who were excited about moving into our district and joining our community. Every site has a librarian. Every site doesn't have a music and art teacher. Most of them have somebody who's in there right now, but as you know, music is the one subs shy away from. I don't sing, you know. So that is the one that we still are struggling with, but we're going to find people to fill those positions. Of the 32 total, there are also 4 music. The music is in a pool, so I have 1 vacancy that says music, and the applicants flow into that pool. And as they come in, believe me, they're pulled and they're sent to the site who has one. And the principals are jumping on them quickly. And today, Ms. Gottlieb found an art teacher. Nice. So that's going to be filled. And today, we got a recommendation for a new band director at Desert View, which was a position, part of that in there. And again, you can't find a sub to take on a band position. But I think we found somebody. They recommended them, and we'll move forward. And as I said, it's a constant shift.
So Dr. Burke, you said 32 and then you said 23. I just want to make sure
of the 32, remember 9 of them are professional non-teaching.
There's
So
32
set those
including, so
aside.
there's
Yeah.
23
Yes.
classroom teaching
Yes.
positions. I just want to make sure to,
Yeah.
because
Did
that's
you guys
getting,
get that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna go to the last slide. Sometimes I feel like this is a numbers game, you know, where I'm constantly shifting. This is a quick overview of those 10 that are filled with long-term subs. There are currently 5 in the elementary. There's 1 in the middle school, and then there's 4 in the high school. We have 2 at district level as well, but I look at the long-terms for the 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high school. And again, those subs are in vacancies, and some we will pull if we find an individual, some we won't. But we're also going to start looking at numbers and how many kids are in that class. Do we close one? Do we remove a long-term sub, and then the numbers are evenly dispersed against 3 of the 4 teachers that are there? So that's going to be a process that we'll probably talk about at the end of August. Questions?
Ms. Dong, you know?
Sounds like you got quite a juggling.
It
Take
is,
care of
and we
this,
try
so-
to stay ahead of it as much as possible. As soon as somebody, I even call family, okay, you know a musician, don't you? You know, would they like to come work for us? You know, I was telling Mr. Homestead, and my niece was like, what? You know, but she followed through for me and called her friends who were musicians, said, hey, you want to teach music? You know, because they do have degrees. A lot of musicians have degrees, just have chosen to not teach in that sense. So we're going to find them, and we're going to, and as Ms. Felix said, we had a strong campaign. Our strategic goal is going to be on recruitment this year. We need to. We're already working with Dr. Williams for SPED. We're also working with Mr. Badia, the new director of the Native American programs, because we need to bring in more Native teachers to kind of balance some of that. That's just my bias.
Naturally.
Any other questions?
Have you thought of going to the U of A and
Oh,
getting
yes.
those graduates that are
Yeah.
just
There's
with their
this-
music degrees?
Yeah. Oh, yes. We've reached out. We've also looking at different colleges that we're going to reconnect with prior to them graduating, so we can draw them in. So, okay?
And the art teachers?
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I have a question.
Ms. Hernandez, do you have a question?
Yes. Can you remind me how many of our newly graduated employees finished the program with the partnership with U of A to become teachers?
Yes, our first cohort had 10 individuals. All 10 graduated, and all 10 have jobs in Sunnyside.
That's great. Do you know if is there any way that we can try to increase the number of our employees to participate in that program? Is it a funding issue, or is it an issue of interest, you know?
We did increase our cohort 2, which is currently in place, has increased to 11? 12. I think it's increased to 12. Today, it's a good question. Today I got an email from one of the U of A individuals who oversees the coordinator, and there are 15 interested candidates to date.
Nice.
And so that will only grow. But then again, we have to plan and make sure we have those vacancies. I always get worried, are we gonna have enough jobs? And then I'm like, we have plenty of jobs. So I have to learn to take a breath and go, this is gonna work.
That's good.
Did I answer your question?
Okay, so then are we able, I'm not sure what we're doing as far as promoting the program.
Oh.
Are we letting folks know a few times a year, or how would someone know of the program?
The U of A communicates as well. We can make sure it's on our website so our community members know and our classified employees know. Several people have been waiting to get in a cohort because they have to have an associate's degree. And some of them that are starting in cohort 2 are waited because they finished their associate and now they have the qualifications to move forward. There are some who are now wanting to go into cohort 3 because of the same thing. They had to finish their prerequisites and an associate's degree before they can move forward.
Gotcha. I'm not sure what's being done now, right, but can we partner with the individual school leadership to help us promote within the schools itself the program or recommend people?
Yes, and we can do that. One of the things I'd like to do is, I've already talked to Maria about this, is we need to bring it back so you can hear the successes. Yeah. And you guys need to see the
What is it? Sorry, what did you say? I can't hear you.
One of the things I would like to do is bring the U of A back with the 10 graduates who are in their first year and have them share their experience with you. And then cohort 2 started as well, and cohort 2 are in pairs right now in our classrooms.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be great if because I understand that recruitment can't just fall on HR, right? So if we can have folks within our own schools promoting the program, that makes it easier to remind folks, let people know. If this isn't done already, but I think it would be great if we can include this program. I don't know what the onboarding packet looks like, but I think it would be good to have, obviously, for the new hires and not coming in as teachers, but for all the others that would apply, that can potentially apply that are not teachers, if we can include that as part of the information that they receive once they're onboarded, so they know what opportunities are available to them.
And we can build that in for you and work with our principals. We already do work with our principals on that. But I can bring it more forward to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Any
right.
other questions? No?
Just to segue that out with the curriculum piece, so the mentor-mentee piece is already in play for the new teachers. Ms. Sheppy has that in play. That's in pre-service, so they start out with that. We have no brand new curriculum this year. Remember, we did elementary math last year, so that enables our teams to really focus on building that out. Just a reminder of the methodology, if not that we're using this year, which is we are not going backwards to reteach the last year. We are moving forward in curriculum, being really diligent on what are we identifying as gaps and spaces to work to close that. We will, as we get ready to launch the after-school program, there will also be pieces within that to identify where we can. But really, we're looking at tier 1 instruction during the day to say what are the opportunities that we can use to help close those gaps for students. So our program specialists, our curriculum directors and coordinators are really working with teachers a lot in the classrooms right now to make sure the curriculum is in play. And moving forward, we are also looking forward this year to the cadres of teachers that have done work with us in the past on curriculum revision and next steps and professional learning and PLCs after school to have that opportunity again this fall. Dr. Williams has been working with her program specialist on the with our ex-ed students who are in full inclusion now, or inclusion as we're making adjustments to our self-contained program. So it's really been boots on the ground to really notice and see what's happening there and try to be as nimble as possible to answer those pieces. So this is our opening day. Any questions, comments, other things we can answer?
Good job. Oh my gosh. Mr. Holmes.
I just want to thank the team. I think one of the things that we, hopefully, like new board members haven't had this opening day or noticed, you know, we're not elusive with our numbers, right? And so one of the things that we hold firm is we got to, where our enrollment is, where our teacher vacancies, all the things that are things that we're still currently struggling. We have great things happening in our schools, but we have to be candid with the general public and where those areas are, what the plan is to address them. Transportation, you saw our numbers on enrollment. There's, you know, reasons for some of these things, but I think one of the things we're most proud of as a team in putting this together is they're always very candid with kind of where we're at. So as a governing board, you're never trying to guess what these numbers are. They're pretty straightforward, and we'll continue to give you that clarity as we get through the next month of school.
Mr. Encinas, 2021-22 annual expenditure budget revision number 1.
Thank you, President Quintero, board members, Superintendent Holmes. Seems like only yesterday we were here addressing the adoption of the budget, and I'm here back tonight to ask you to do it one more time with the same numbers, the only change being the tax rate. That'd probably be the highlight of the revision today. The reason for the necessity of having the board approve revision number 1 is that the form that was provided back in July was a draft form, and the final forms were not yet available. Now they are, and they're requiring us to revise our budget to conform, be used on the approved forms that the budget now is in. Like I mentioned, the only change to the document is that at the time of the adoption, we estimated our tax rate to be the same as last year's, which was a grand total of $5.15 per $100 of assessed valuation. The breakdown was 3.82 on the primary side, which is the tax rate that's used to pay for our maintenance and operation costs. Okay, so the way the state of Arizona school finance works is there's $1 per student limit. Number of students times $1 per student comes up with, say, $50 million. Then of that $50 million, then a certain portion of that has to be locally generated. So if your assessed valuation sets a tax rate of 3.82, that generates roughly about $18 million in our case. The other $32 million is going to be state aid. Now, there's some school districts in the state of Arizona that have more assessed valuation than what the limit calls for. So in essence, their total tax rate that's applied to the property generates enough taxes to fully fund their operation without any state aid. That's not the case with us. Roughly, over 65% of total revenue needed to operate our maintenance and operation is from state aid. The secondary tax rate, though, that is a true tax rate that's assessed on local property to fund overrides and bond elections. In our case, we don't have an override. The entire amount of the secondary tax rate of 132 this past year was to pay for our bonds, the interest and the principal of the bonds that were sold in prior years. That tax rate this year is going down to 4.66%, $4.66, roughly. To give you just a general idea what that means. If you had a house last year that was assessed at $100,000, and you have that same house, and it did increase in assessed value, then was the county assessor said, your house is still worth $100,000, which it didn't happen. But say it's 100 to 100, you'd save $49. That 49 cents decrease would save that taxpayer $49 this year compared to last year. So other than that, there's no other changes that request the governing board to approve revision number 1. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions? No? Ms. Hernandez, do you have a question?
No, just thank you to Mr. Encinas for the presentation and explaining that.
Thank you. Hearing none, Ms. Dong?
Yes, I'd like to move that we approve the fiscal year 2021-22 annual expenditure budget revision number 1 as submitted.
Ms. Nunez?
I second the motion.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor? Ms. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Nunez? Aye. Ms. Quintero?
Aye. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Encinas. Our proposed 2022 political agenda and selection of district delegate. So, I think you all had the political agenda to read prior. Does anybody have any questions about the political agenda? Ms. Hernandez, did you get a copy?
Do I have a copy?
Did you read it?
Wasn't this sent to us before? I don't have a copy in front of me, but yeah, I received it.
Okay. Did you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Ms. Dong, did you have any questions?
No, that's basically what we've talked about in the past. It's just a copy of that. We've all read it and we've discussed it in the past. And it's just the political agenda that they're going to put forth.
Right. So, Ms. Dong, did you want to be the delegate?
Oh, I want to be up there for the law conference. The law conference is one of the conferences I feel that is the most important conference of the year. And so I'll be there already Thursday and Friday. And if you want me to stay over for Saturday, I'd be more than happy to stay over and represent Sunnyside. As we talked already about the proposals, and we pretty much discussed how we felt about them. I would, be okay with staying over on Friday night. It's a boring Saturday, but I'll do that.
Thank you. Does anyone want to make a motion to choose Ms. Dong?
I move that we appoint Ms. Eva Carrillo Rang as our delegate for the Arizona School Board Association Assembly to be held on September 11th.
Do you have a second?
I second the motion.
Roll call?
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Nunez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye. Thank you, Ms. Dong. So the special governing board meeting, I would like to know if we can do that on August the 18th from 5:30 to 7:30, since we were unable to get it done last month. Does anybody have a problem with August 18th?
What day?
Yes, look, it's a Wednesday.
Yeah, everybody. can look
It's
at
a
the
Wednesday,
proposals.
August 18th. Ms. Hernandez?
No, that works. Thank you.
Thank you. That works. That works? Awesome. Can I have a motion?
1 second.
Oh, I'm
almost
sorry.
there.
I'm sorry.
I'm almost there. I just want to make absolutely sure. It's August the 18th.
Yes,
August the 18th.
from 5:30 to 7:30.
Yeah, I have a meeting. I'm chairing that meeting. Sorry. Let's see here.
Can you get there late?
Well, I could get, it's 5:30 to 6:30. But I could, if we start at 6, half an hour later, I could do that, because I can get out of there, I can run the meeting for half an hour and then hand it over.
Okay.
Because,
Can we do that, everyone, 6 o'clock to 8, 6 to 8 on a Wednesday night, August 18th?
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, so I move that we have our board retreat on Wednesday, the 18th, August, Wednesday, the 18th, at 6 o'clock.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Roll call?
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Nunez? Aye. Ms. Quintero?
Aye, thank you very much.
Will that be here in the governing board room?
That would be in the Mesquite room.
Okay.
Governing board communication, Mr. Holmes?
Yes, just in previous communication with governing board, there's so many events that happen, so many things that I know governing board members want to attend, that it's become real difficult. And when COVID hit, there just was so much other things going on that purpose of this agenda item is just to revisit some ways in which we can better give you all the information that you're gonna need to make decisions on what events you want to go to. We've had different ideas in the past. I know, Ms. Dong, we talked about some monthly types of reports. So just an open communication. If you give us some direction on what that would look like, it's more an information item, because we can then kind of put together some things and kind of continue to iterate what's working and what's not working as we're working to make sure that we give you the information you need as board members.
Ms. Dung.
Okay, yes, this district does so many neat things. I mean, it's just incredible. Look at what the ladies that were here earlier and what they're doing as far as becoming teachers and winning national competitions their first year out the gate is just incredible. And at each school, we have all kinds of great things happening all the time. And I know that in the past, we had the opportunity to know about the events before they occurred. Now we hear about them after, which is still great. I love hearing about the events. But sometimes, it's good for the board to know about events, and whenever possible, we won't be able to go to all events. We work, et cetera, et cetera. But if we can go to an event here and there, I think it's good for the board to go to the events and support the students, support the staff, in what they're doing, and show up and see the great things that they're doing in person. And so I know that in the past, years ago, we used to have where the school site, they know what's going to happen in their school, like Summit. They knew exactly what was happening when they were having certain things occur. And so they would send it to me, to somebody, and that person would put it into a calendar for us. And in that calendar, it would say, Summit is having a meeting with all the parents to celebrate whatever it was. And if we had a chance to go to Summit that night, because we didn't have anything else going on, then we were able to go down there and just participate in the celebration and be able to do that. Apollo has orchestra or band, or we have the district orchestra or band. Those are always really neat because they have them at the auditoriums, and you see all the different little elementary kids or middle school, high school kids all come. And it's always a big part, I think, of what as board members we should be doing, is going out there whenever we can. We can't always, but whenever we can, going out there to the school sites and enjoying what the product of what our staff is doing and what our students are doing. And so I would just like to bring that back, to be able to, and it was pretty simple because each site, each elementary, middle, high school, they were in charge of just their stuff. And they knew their stuff ahead of time, so they would give it to somebody, and that person would put in a calendar for us. Now and then we had a surprise something. Somebody, John McCain, came to Sunnyside, and we knew, because of all the, security, we knew a day before, that kind of a thing. So those things happen, but most of 99% of the things that happen, people know well in advance. 1 week, 2 weeks, a month in advance, they know about it. So they let somebody know. That person puts it into something for us to have, and we just open it up. And, another meeting canceled. I've got a free night, and so I'll go see something. Or we don't work today. You guys do. President's Day, so I can get to see some things going on in the schools on President's Day because I don't have to work on that day, that kind of stuff. So that's basically, I know all of a sudden, a few years ago, we started getting these very detailed reports about what the administration was doing. And those were interesting, but I trust administration. I don't feel like I need to know minute by minute that they're meeting with this person, they're meeting with that person, they're, doing this or doing that. I've never understood that, to be totally honest with you. I trust that administration knows who they're supposed to be meeting and what they're supposed to be doing on a day-to-day basis. And I thought that was too much of their time being consumed in trying to let us know what they're doing there all day long, every day. And so personally, that's not the kind of communication I want. I don't need that kind of communication. To know what Dr. Bergman and who she's meeting with. Okay, She knows who she's meeting with. I don't need to know that. You know, so that to me is not the kind of communication I'm talking about. The communication I'm talking about is where we know about what is going on in the school sites as far as the celebrations.
Maybe like a glance at the month, like a glance at the month of something, and it has like different events.
Right. It was a calendar glance of the month that had the different things that were going on. And like I said, you know, you can't get out of the schools, you know, a lot, but sometimes in an evening, if you know there's an event going on, you're able to go to that, you know. Not every evening, you know, but, you know, every now and then when we have an opportunity. So that's what I would like, is to see the school administrators, if they could get somebody to help them, just send to us, you know, the fun things that are going on, the good things, the celebrations, so that we can help them celebrate and we can participate in showing, you know, how much we appreciate, you know, what they're doing and the hard work, and that we know that they are doing this hard work to get this fifth grader to be able to blow through that saxophone,
Yeah.
you know, and have a nice little concert and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So a calendar of events
Calendar of events.
on a monthly basis or a weekly basis?
No.
Monthly.
A monthly
Good.
basis.
So we can say, oh, there's, you know,
Right.
like we had the drive
Right.
today, so we can like, oh, in 2 weeks there's a
Right.
drive, so we can like plan.
Yeah.
I'd like to just chime in. Sorry, I don't know who's talking or who's pausing. But I want to echo what Ms. Dong and Ms. Nunez mentioned. I too also don't care to know minute by minute, but I would like to see that if we can at least get a monthly, like, one pager or adding it to our calendar as well of events that each school site thinks it's important for us to go and participate in, just because some of us have a lot going on and I don't find out about events until I see them either on social media or I open my mail 1 or 2 weeks too late. So if we can get some sort of like a monthly calendar with all the events that are happening that are important, it doesn't need to be all of them, but any highlighted events that we should know about. I think that's something I'd like to see as well and appreciate this being brought up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
And I
Taylor?
think, I think it'll help a lot too, that calendar that's being set up for us, because, you know, we all can't really be there at every single time, because we all do have jobs. So it does get a little, you know, my first couple of months on the board, you know, I was racing to be every single place at every single time if I could. You know, I had to stop doing that because it was, you know, it was a lot of gas. It was a lot of, you know, and my salary's not great. So it was getting a little exhausting. And that way we can kind of delegate things to each other for the month. That way there's always someone from the board, you know, if not everything, but at least at most things, you know. So yeah, that'll be really good resource.
Let's get we can.
Sorry, I'll piggyback on what was just said. I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. I personally can't make it to mostly everything because of my work, and I'm also in school. So being delegated probably won't work for me. I'm not sure about everyone else, but it would be nice, of course, to know that someone's showing up. Sorry, I just want to make that clear.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can work on a calendar events. I think we have the systems that we can put in place and kind of not give you things that are not necessary, right? That really have no relevance to, right? Some of the things.
Oh, how do you know it's not relevant to me?
Well, you just said who's meeting with everyone.
Oh yeah, not that stuff. I want to know what's happening with the students and
Right.
student events.
Celebrations.
Right. Okay, we'll work on putting that together.
Thank you. So, it is time to go into executive session. Do I hear a motion?
Yes.
Miss Dawn.
Okay, let me see here. Okay. I move move that we adjourn?
I second the motion.
Roll call?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez?
Bye.
Ms. Nunez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
That was, I think that was the longest one. What's the longest meeting you've ever been a part of?
Remember, I've been here till 1.
Now what?
I've been here till